Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer-songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is an indie pop singer-songwriter who brings storytelling to another level with her atmospheric guitar tones and metaphorical lyricism. As a self-declared introvert who grew up in the Haliburton Highlands, she was deeply influenced by nature and a sense of community. Her quirky personality shines through on stage and charms her audiences. Releasing her debut self-titled EP in July of 2023, the project has garnered over 90,000 streams on Spotify and amassed praise from blogs like ParaPOP, who described the project as a sonic journey of self-discovery, loss, acceptance, and ultimate healing. So, let's spill the tea with Cassidy Taylor. Welcome, Cassidy.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Well, you've got a very interesting pedigree and a good number of plays on Spotify, which is, I understand, is one of the cornerstones to getting a record deal. They look at things like that. Before we get into your background, when you have that, when you're getting those number of plays on Spotify, is it the dream for an indie artist to even have a record deal now, or do you even care?
Honestly, I've been independent for so long that I honestly really like doing everything myself. Like, I love having that control over everything and just that understanding of, the ins and outs and how to do everything yourself. So I don't know. I think the record deal would have to be the right one for me personally.
Well, you do come from a little bit of a musical background family. Your dad played a little bit of guitar, but where did you get your influence from? Where did your musical prowess come from? Was it friends, family, uncles, aunts, grandparents? Where did it come from?
I would say it came from, I listened to a lot of Taylor Swift growing up. I can say that I'm an OG Swiftie. Everyone's a Swiftie nowadays, but I was a real Swiftie,
Okay, the
like
original,
five,
one of
six
the
years old.
original.
I'm an original, yes. Yeah, but it all started with like writing stories and writing songs
Mhm.
for me. I was sort of writing a lot of short stories as a kid, kind of before I wrote songs. So I think that the love for music came from writing for me.
What is it about Taylor Swift's music that would capture your attention at a very, very young age? I mean, I know that when the Spice Girls went through their great, they captured the hearts and minds of many young girls, and and Beyonce has captured, and J Lo, and Backstreet Boys. Like, they all capture an audience, and generally a younger audience as well. What was it about Taylor Swift or her music that uh, that you gravitated toward?
That's a good question. I think definitely her songs. Like that was the one thing that I was like that really got me into writing because I was like I want to write a song, like Taylor Swift. Um yeah. So I don't know, like her songs, I know I loved watching her on stage too, like her stage presence. It made me want to be on stage. So maybe it was just her love for music and her love for writing that really could just kind of shine through.
When you listen to yourself play back, who do you think you sound like? Who did you emulate? I think every singer songwriter will emulate some um someone before them. So when you hear yourself, who do you think you sound like?
I don't know. I've never thought about that. Um, but I think that I have a lot of influence from Taylor Swift, even just kind of the way that I sing and the way that I pronounce certain words, I guess, if that makes sense. Just the way I kind of articulate my songs. So maybe it's not in the songwriting, maybe it's more in the way I actually perform those songs.
Mhm. When you were at Metalworks, you won an award, the Music Counts Scholarship, that led you to a performance at the 2022 Juno's opening night chair reception. Tell us about that experience when you were when you got the award and you found out that you were going to uh, be an opening act at the Junos.
Yeah, so this was sort of an opportunity that stemmed from some connections that I made through getting this award. So when I got this scholarship, it came with a bursary and also a week-long sort of mentorship program thing in Toronto. So we got to meet the whole Music Counts team. We were there in their office a lot. And yeah, I think there was 5 or 6 of us. So yeah, and we made some good connections. And I think about a year later, I got an email from one of them just asking if I wanted to perform at this chair reception. And I was like, this is insane. Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. And yeah, it was like, it's like the most nerve-wracking performance you can imagine because every important name in Canadian music is in one room. And that's all the people that are there. Like they're all just like industry professionals. And so yeah, I played one song and it was probably the most nerve-wracking moment of my life. Yeah.
Do you remember the song you played?
Yeah, I played Tightrope.
Oh, okay. Great song.
Yeah, looking back, I kind of wish I picked a different song, but it is what it is.
In comparison to some other artists, you're still at the very early stages of your career. And when I talk to other artists that have, say, 20, 30, 40 years under their belt, they say their writing styles have changed over the years. That when they were young, they had that, that love and lust and breakups and all that kind of emotion, that younger emotion, and when they as they get older they start writing about their kids and things like that. When you're writing, I mean, you mentioned just there, a song, boy meets girl, they fall in love, they break up, and there's a song about it. Maybe it's a personal experience, you're living vicariously through somebody else. Is it your songs that you, when you think about the very first few songs that you wrote, and the ones that you're writing today, what's the progression? Was it all
Hmm.
emotion when you were writing at the at first point, and now is it more, analytical?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. Um, yeah, I would say I write with just as much, if not more, emotion now, almost. Just because um, I think that the better you get at writing, the more it is just letting go of your own thoughts and your own ego almost,
Mhm.
and just sort of getting out what you're feeling. Um, yeah. So I think there's just as much emotion. The subject matter might be different for sure. I write a lot about sort of just like my internal journey, I guess, not necessarily what's going on around me, which I find really interesting. But yeah, a lot of the time I'll sort of even write about what other people are going through, right? So if like a friend goes through a breakup or I see someone's going through a hard time or something, a lot of the time that can also spark something as
Mhm.
well. And I'll sort of write from that perspective.
Well, let's get into one of the songs that Cassidy wrote. This song is the third single off her recent EP, The Moon, and landed a spot in season 2 of Surviving Summer, a fast growing Netflix TV series based in Australia. So let's take a listen to singer songwriter Cassidy Taylor and her song, The Moon.
Everyone's here but you. Makes for an empty room. And just like the space between the stars, when did you get so far away? Well, maybe if I ever walk the moon, I'll shine off the light of you in your atmosphere. You know I do wonder shine off the light again. Shine off the light again. Around the sun we move. I find it all in you. And just like the starlight in the day, I guess you gotta be lost to find your way. Well, maybe if I ever walk the moon, I'll shine off the light of you in your atmosphere. No, I do wonder why I ever wanted to run. I guess I grew out of being young. If every star in the sky was just like you, I'd shine off the light again. Shine off the light again. And I'll trace constellations, finding a way, navigating hesitation to leave or to stay. I thought dreams were made to keep you fast asleep. And the brighter the shadow, the darker the dream. But my nocturnal self will never see daylight, limelight. But just when I lose sight, I'd shine off the light again. Shine off the light again.
That was The Moon by Cassidy Taylor. Cassidy, that song was picked up by a Netflix TV series out of Australia, which is a great way for artists to make money, because songs can be picked up for commercials and jingles and movies and TV shows. So how did that come about? How did your song get picked up for a Netflix series?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. Like a lot of people are like, "How did you do it? How did you get it?" They literally sent me an email. Like, I'm not even joking. I opened my phone one morning. I literally had just woken up. I opened my phone to check my email, which I shouldn't be doing, but I was doing. And I just got this email that said, "Hey, we're a sync licensing company." I was like, "This is spam. For sure, this is spam." And then the more I looked into it, I was like, "Oh my God, it's actually like this is real." And it took a couple months to, get the paperwork and make sure it actually fit the scene and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, they literally just sent me an email. I asked them how they found me, and they just said organically. So I guess they were looking for an artist like me, which is pretty
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So now did that open up a whole other vista of opportunity for you, where you're thinking, maybe if I write a few songs that could be around a TV series? Is that something that's going on in the back of your mind at the moment?
Oh, definitely. Yes. I used to do that so much, especially during the pandemic when nothing was happening.
Mm.
I'd sort of watch a show and be like, especially Game of Thrones. I binged Game of Thrones during the pandemic, and I can't remember what the line was, but I was like, that's a really cool line. And so I wrote it down and ended up just like writing a whole song just based around that sort of concept. So yeah, I do that. I do that all the time.
Tell us about the song The Moon. What's the song about, and where did you get the inspiration to write that song?
So a lot of people know I grew up in a very small town called Haliburton. It is the kind of place that is like, I think the population is like, I want to say 1,000, 2,000, something like that, in like the town of Haliburton. So very, very small. Like, literally everyone around you. And this is kind of how I grew up. So I grew up like not really knowing what a garbage truck was. I'd never seen one before. You go to the dump, right? That was my dad and I's thing. We'd go to the dump together. What else? I also hadn't really been around a lot of like more than one lane of a highway, like I'd never really seen that, or like big intersections. Um, yeah. So I moved to the city after college, and this sort of like was, obviously a very big culture shock for me. There's just so many things that are different that you wouldn't even think about. So yeah, moving here was just like, whoa, this is a lot. And I sort of had this little identity crisis where it was sort of like I had tied my identity so closely to growing up in a small town that when I moved out of that small town, it was like, whoa, like who am I? This is if I was that person there, who am I here? Because there's so many more possibilities that I didn't know existed. So that thought came about. And then I wrote The Moon. And the concept around the moon is just a big metaphor. So I said that I write metaphors a lot. This is one of them. So the metaphor for the moon is that I'm the moon, the sun is my hometown, my friends, my family, that sort of thing. And you can't see the moon without the sun. So the idea is that I don't really exist without my past, almost, or where I came from. And yeah, so I guess the first line of the chorus is maybe if I ever walk the moon, I'll shine off the light of you. And that's sort of like me trying to get back to who I was and where I came from.
How do people
Yeah.
find out more about you, Cassidy? What's the website? What are the socials where they can go and find out more about your music, where you're gigging, and what's coming up from your professional performances?
Yeah, my website is CassidyTaylor.com, and all of my socials are under the same username, Songs by Cassidy, and you can find me there. And my music is also on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff.
We have been in conversation with Cassidy Taylor. Cassidy, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.